The July 2nd, 2016 regular meeting of the Mentor Executive Village Board of Education is called to order. This meeting is being held in accordance with Section 3313.15 of the Ohio Revised Code. Mr. Wilson, will you call the roll?
Mrs. Briner.
Here.
Ms. Jisling.
Present.
Mr. Shaw.
Here.
Mr. Tuttle.
Here.
Ms. Miller.
Here. I would like to welcome everyone to the July 12th, 2016 regular meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education. Oh, please join me in the pledge. I'm sorry. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Now, I would like to welcome you to the July 12th, 2016 regular board meeting of the Mentor Exempted Village Board of Education. Prior to this evening, each board member has received for their review and consideration the agenda and materials associated with each agenda item for the board's approval via the district's paperless Board of Education agenda system, Board Docs. The public can access the agenda through the school district's website. The agenda is available through the district's website for public viewing the Sunday prior to the board meeting. Board members have the opportunity to call the superintendent and chief financial officer for information concerning agenda items and to request, if needed, additional information. There are two places on the agenda when the board entertains comments from the community. The first hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on agenda items only. The second hearing of the public is dedicated to those who wish to address the board on any subject, whether it is an item on the agenda or another issue. When addressing the board, please state your name. Comments are limited to 3 minutes. Please address questions to the president. This meeting is being televised on a delayed basis and will be shown on the Time Warner Cable Channel 96.96 in Mentor and Channel 96.22 in Mentor on the Lake. This meeting is also being videotaped and will be shown on our YouTube channel, Cardinal TV, Mentor, Ohio. Please place your mobile telephones on silent mode during the meeting. At this time, I would like to ask for a motion for approval of the minutes from June 14th, 2016, the special meeting, and also June 14th, the regular meeting.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Briner.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Ms. Jisling.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
I was absent for that meeting.
So abstain.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes. At this time, I'd like a motion for the approval of minutes for the June 30th, 2016 special meeting and the July 7th, 2016 special meeting.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling.
Yes.
Mrs. Briner.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
I have to abstain. I wasn't at the July 7th meeting. Are there any hearing of the public on agenda items only? Okay. Mr. Miller, the superintendent's report, please.
Thank you. Good evening, Madam President and members of the board. I have the following recommendations listed under the consent agenda and recommend approval of consent agenda items 5A1 and through 5A4 and also the addendum 5A5 that was at your place this evening.
So moved. Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle.
Yes.
Mr. Shaw.
Yes.
Mrs. Briner.
Yes.
Ms. Jisling.
Yes.
Ms. Miller.
Yes.
Thank you. Madam President and members of the board, we have several updates for you tonight. Mrs. Bonas will be giving an update on our district leadership team plan.
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Miller and Mr. Wilson. The state of Ohio created the Ohio Improvement Process with the goal to improve the academic achievement for all students. The OIP is Ohio's strategy for ensuring a systematic and coherent approach that allows districts to improve instructional practice on a district-wide basis and make and sustain significant improvement in student performance. The Ohio Improvement Process offers a structured process for enacting the essential practices by requiring districts to review data and make more informed decisions by requiring a district leadership team, building leadership team, and teacher-based teams to participate in the process of improvement. The OIP process enables the district to organize team structures that support a culture of inquiry, use data for intentional decision-making, align work connected to the district's goals and strategies, provide shared leadership opportunities which support ongoing two-way communication and engagement, and organize job-embedded, high-quality professional development based on district needs. This graphic shows how the Ohio Improvement Process is used by all levels of collaborative teams for continued improvement. In Stage 1, the district and building leadership teams use data to identify areas of greatest need. In Stage 2, they develop a focus plan with limited number of goals and strategies targeted at instructional practice and student performance. In Stage 3, the focus plan is implemented and monitored using the 5-step PLC process. And in Stage 4, evidence is gathered to evaluate the implementation and impact of school improvement efforts. The responsibilities of the DLT include promoting commitment to continuous improvement, developing a district improvement plan based on data analysis, gathering input from stakeholders, maintaining school-wide focus on high achievement for all students, facilitating efforts of the BLTs and PLCs by ensuring all schools have a focused and aligned plans, monitoring progress by evaluating data, aligning funding with the district plan, and evaluating the process yearly. The Mentor Schools District Leadership Team consists of 33 members, which include the superintendent, the CFO, district directors, principals, teachers, including the union president, and a parent representative. The large group DLT meets 2 times per year, and the Curriculum Council, a subcommittee of the DLT, meets monthly to implement and monitor the district improvement plan. The DLT met last spring to analyze district reading, math, and climate data. The DLT divided up into small discussion groups and completed a SWOT analysis identifying strengths and weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Based on the data review, the district leadership team determined that our greatest achievement gaps in reading and math appear within the students with disabilities and economically disadvantaged subgroups, which is a common concern across the state of Ohio. The Ohio Improvement Process requires the DLT to create a district improvement plan with a reading, math, and climate goal. The team then develops strategies, action steps, and detailed tasks. This slide lists our 3 district goals. A copy of the detailed DLT plan was included with your board docs, so I will provide just a brief overview. Our reading goal includes 2 strategies. The first is to provide English language arts professional development in the area of comprehensive literacy and reading and writing in the content area, blended learning, and project-based learning. Our elementary focus is the implementation of comprehensive literacy, and the focus in the middle schools and high schools is the implementation of blended learning and project-based learning. Our second strategy is to monitor ELA instruction. The DLT will create standardized data protocols for building leadership teams and PLCs. Please note that each strategy contains multiple tasks along with detailed assessment and monitoring plans, which are included in the improvement plan. The district math goals consists of 3 strategies. These include providing professional development for conceptual math understandings, monitoring math instruction by developing formative assessments using BLT and PLC data protocols, and increasing parental involvement in the area of math by creating informational multimedia for parents. Our climate goal addresses the implementation of positive behavior intervention supports. Each building will develop unique strategies based on individual building data. These include the implementation of OVAS plans, character education, and/or responsive classroom. The DLT and BLTs will measure progress using attendance, discipline rates, and the high school will also measure graduation rates. The DLT plan is housed in Google Docs and will be monitored by the district leadership team. The plan is a working document and will be updated monthly. Each building leadership team is required to develop an improvement plan aligned to this district plan, and their plans should be monitored on a monthly basis. All building plans will be linked to the district plan to ensure unification and transparency. Data will be collected by the DLT and BLTs to monitor student and adult performance indicators. The purpose of the district and school improvement plans is to improve the quality of teaching and learning so that greater numbers of students achieve proficiency in the core academic subjects of reading and math. The improvement plan provides a framework for analyzing problems, identifying underlying causes, and addressing instructional issues. The Mentor Schools District Leadership Team has been using the Ohio improvement process for the past 8 years, and we will continue to improve on the process. At this time, I will attempt to answer any questions on the district improvement plan. Question?
How are these, this whole framework connected to the early literacy and the report card that came out last year and what we anticipate will come out this year? Are they dovetailing or are they kind of separate tasks?
Absolutely dovetailing. We look at all that data to create our plans. So when we went through the different data sources, we looked at the K-3 literacy, the achievement gaps. We took a look at all that, and that's all provided in the decision framework.
And you mentioned that, as we've seen in lots of other school districts, students that come to us at risk often experience the most difficulty in meeting those achievement standards. Are there some new tricks in the bag, or are we trying to just focus it more clearly or address our resources differently?
We're trying to close those achievement gaps by using the plan. So we're, for example, in the elementary, we're implementing comprehensive literacy. So reading and writing workshop, we've been training teachers on phonics, and basically the comprehensive literacy framework. So we're trying to close those gaps and address those needs of those students coming in.
How many teachers are on the district leadership team? I'm sorry, I thought you might.
Oh, I had a list of them. I believe there's 5.
Okay, thank you. Across all grade levels, all schools?
Yes, we have a representation from elementary, middle, and high school, and the union president as well. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Bonas. I will say, too, just as a follow-up, and I think maybe, Ms. Jessling, you might have been alluding to this, but some of the things that are coming out of Columbus now with new leadership, I think they realize some of the mess some school districts have been in, and it seems like every year we're on a different cycle, and I think there's going to be some positive changes, fingers crossed, coming out of Columbus, but those are sort of the indications that we're getting in communications from Columbus already. So I'm hoping for that. But thank you very much. Want to take just a couple minutes to go over the 10-year enrollment projection that you were provided earlier before this evening. Just a couple comments on some of the things that we noticed in this report. We use a group called Planning Advocates out of Palo, Ohio, and we have for several studies, and it's a 10-year study, and we take a look at a couple different areas, but let me give you a little bit of an overview. Essentially, it's based on trends that we've seen in Mentor, in Lake County, and in Ohio that the group puts together. Even though it's a 10-year projection, best guess, it's about a 5 or 6 year projection with a pretty much certainty in terms of accuracy, as long as there are no big changes. There were several assumptions in this report that we just received in June. A couple of those assumptions I've noted here that I'll just point out briefly. All-day kindergarten increases our kindergarten enrollment. Not all districts do that. We're certainly not required, but we certainly believe in it. Percentages of students transferring from elementary to middle schools remain consistent from their feeder schools. Obviously, we've had some changes with closing one of our elementaries since the latest study was finished. I do want to point out, we talk about, and we certainly talked about it during levy time, about our aging population. The median age, you can see on the screen behind me and several of the screens in this room, you can see that Mentor, the median age in Mentor is higher than the Lake County median age in both census that were part of this report, and also much higher in Ohio. And also the projected population of Mentor is going down as well. So we are an aging population. This just reinforces what we've been saying and what we've seen in our schools. Historical enrollments by grades. You can take a look at this graph and see from this past school year, 10 years back, we have lost, if you were, our enrollment has gone down just over 1,300 students in a 10-year period, which is about 15%. So in the past 10 years, we've lost 15% of our student body. Other factors potentially impacting historical enrollment, we still have about the same number of homeschooled students in our attendance area. Interestingly enough, and I don't think this is a surprise, but when we look at the reports on students that are in our parochial schools, their numbers are going down as well. So it's not like they're leaving one for the other. It's a trend in Mentor and in Northeast Ohio. And usually we have a balance of transfers between our school buildings. So we do have open enrollment between elementary buildings and middle schools for a variety of different reasons. And it's not a lot, but that's been pretty standard. Most likely projections. So when we look from this point 10 years out, with as much accuracy as we can, we take a look at what some of the factors have been. And I will tell you that planning advocates did a really good job incorporating the closure of Rice into the projection. So we gave them our data. They came back to us asking for more about the kids, the students that were at Rice, where did they go, what feeder schools, middle schools would they be going to. So it wasn't a cursory look at past trends. They really took that into account. Enrollments are expected to continue to decrease over the next 10 years. It will slow down a little bit. We'll lose, if their projections are correct, over the next 10 years, 786 students, which is about 10% of our current student body. So from now, 10 years out, they're projecting an additional loss of just over 10%. Though that decline has slowed down, that's still somewhat worrisome for all of us. So conclusions, and again, this is just an overview of what we've seen and what this data is supporting, that even though enrollment is starting to stabilize, we're still going to lose over 10% over the next 10 years. The administration, the board, our district, and community need to continue to study enrollment projections, look at the numbers, and I really believe take a hard look at building usage, buildings opening, buildings closing, grade level configurations, and the current district boundaries. And I say current district boundaries in the scope of, over time, some of our buildings have a fluctuating enrollment. For example, the easy one to point out for all of you would be Hopkins. Hopkins is bursting at the seams, as it were. So when we're looking at building usage and we're looking at doing things differently because of our population continues to decline, I think we also at the same time as a community need to look at where the district boundaries are for our current elementary schools and for our middle schools as well. And that's something We've already talked about internally, administratively, about different options for our kids and different best-case scenarios, but this is a project that we work on now and will continue to work on in the coming months. And certainly, we will get input on any major decisions probably after the holiday, Christmas holiday, I believe, like we have in the past. I'll be glad to try to answer any questions you have, any comments, any thoughts on the report or anything I've said tonight. Hearing none.
Thank
If you do have some, please let me know. And you should have received this early on. With that, I'm going to ask Mr. Crow to come up to update you on the Lakeshore Compact. Mr. Crow. You good, Mike?
Madam President, members of the board, Mr. Miller and Mr. Wilson, thank you for inviting me here this evening to discuss and give you an overview of career technical education for Mentor Public Schools and the Lakeshore Compact, and to also discuss our next contract that will continue to provide career technical programming to our students through a partnership with area school districts. School districts in the state of Ohio provide career technical education through one of three models. Either a comprehensive model, that's when they do everything in-house, a joint vocational school district like Auburn Career Center, and through a partnership with other school districts to share resources and reduce costs. We in Mentor Public Schools do the last. So we provide our students career technical programming through a consortium with Euclid and Wickliffe City Schools. This consortium is known as the Lakeshore Compact. Through the Lakeshore Compact, our students will have access to 16 programs in 10 career fields next school year, with the expectation of increasing programming by adding the medical pathway within the next few years. Our workforce development programs include the following career fields: arts and communication, construction technology, education and training, engineering and science technologies, hospitality and tourism, information technology, law and public safety, manufacturing, marketing, and transportation systems. Mentor Public Schools also offers programming and career-based intervention for our high school students and family consumer science courses into students in grades 7 through 12. As of today, our workforce development programs in Lakeshore Compact are set to have an enrollment of 510 students next school year, with a district breakdown of 159 Euclid students, 256 Mentor students, and 24 Wickliffe students. And just to focus on Mentor High School students right now, we take that 256 and also count the students that are going to go to Auburn next school year, and our seniors that are going to finish out their programs at Willoughby Eastlake. We have roughly 25% of our juniors and seniors in these workforce development programs. So, the contract titled Lakeshore Compact CTPD Career Technical Planning District Cooperative Agreement is for a 5-year period beginning with the 2016-17 school year and ending at the conclusion of the 2021 school year. The contract names Mentor Public Schools as the primary district, making it the fiscal agent and lead district for the consortium. Euclid and Wickliffe City Schools are named secondary districts. The contract outlines the following: management and operation of career technical programs and facilities that houses these programs. So the facilities, Mentor houses some and Euclid houses some as well. And so we send students back and forth, and then Wickliffe students can go to either one. Some of our programs, you might know, not only are at Mentor High School, but we also partner with Lakeland Community College, and they house 5 of our programs there. So other parts of the contract include management of the Lakeshore Compact, operational costs, provisions for career technical programs with details of the responsibilities of the host district and the lead district for the compact, which is Mentor. Enrollment protocols for guarantee of participation in workforce development programs to ensure that our programs are a true reflection of the students that make up the Lakeshore Compact. And transportation rules as well. And finally, there's procedures for amending the contract and how a member district can exit the compact prior to the end of the contract. After each participating school district's Board of Education president, superintendent, chief financial officer, or treasurer signs the contract, it will be filed with the Ohio Department of Education, and copies will be shared with each participating district within the compact. This contract will help lead and guide our district and partnering school districts to continue to provide career technical programming to meet the needs of our students and the needs of our communities. Do you have any questions or comments?
Just wanted to compliment you that you've done such a wonderful job taking it to the next phase for our students, and so many vibrant programs, exciting possibilities for the future, especially with the new health center that will be built.
Well, thank you very much. I mean, I get tremendous amount of, support from the board, from Mr. Miller, Mr. Wilson, and from the district leadership team. It makes my job extremely easy, in addition to, the wonderful teachers and students that we have here as well. So.
I just appreciate the relationship we have with Auburn now, under your leadership with Maggie Lynch there. I mean, Auburn, that's a nice tie-in for our kids, so thanks for making that happen. And I'm sure if any board members want to see any of the programs, maybe after the school year gets started, you'll be able to hook them up. Your teachers in Career Tech are happy to see administration come in to see what they're doing. And I mean that in a positive way.
Yeah,
everybody is, but they get excited that, oh my
Yes.
gosh, someone's here to see us.
Yeah, and they're great programs to go into. It's always, Career Tech is always hands-on, so when you walk in, I mean, you have kids running CNC machines, you have kids, programming computers, working, with robotics. I mean, I can go on and on. So
I get scared because I don't know where to stand in some of those classes where I'm not going to get hurt.
Well,
Anybody else?
Yeah, I'd like to compliment you, Jason. I've witnessed your growth from when you moved into this program, and it's been very rewarding for you, obviously, and your professionalism, the way you conduct yourself, your contacts, the way you communicate. It's really been positive opportunity for you and for the schools, obviously, and the results are fantastic. And speaking for myself and probably the rest of the board, very proud of you and the results. I wish we had more students in the program and had more money to do that, but that's not in your control for the money. So keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Looking at the senior exhibitions, it was obvious how much the students had learned and how invested they were in their futures and carving out exciting pathways for themselves. And then the Career Tech program made much of that possible. So very exciting. So hats off to you and all of the teachers that are part of CTE.
Hey, thank you very much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Crow. At this time, Madam President, members of the board, I recommend that the Lakeshore Compact CTPD Cooperative Agreement for fiscal years 2017 through 2021 be approved.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Thank you. Madam President, members of the board, we have 3 first readings of new and revised policies this evening. Revised Policy 3.09, new Policy 4.03, Revised Policy 9.16, and because they're first readings, no vote is necessary, but I wanted to point those out. At this point, Madam President, members of the board, I'm recommending approval, and this would be a second reading of the new Policy 9.44 on nepotism.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Thank you. Before I do my next part, I do want to let you know that there is a slight change. Under C1, under certified, C1, there's an appointment for a Nicole Rubin. If we're going to take her off the agenda. We are losing Nicole she got engaged and is moving away once we made the offer to her. So if you could please take her off of your agenda. Aside from that, I'm recommending approval of agenda item C1 related to certified staff and C2 through C4 all related to human resource matters.
So moved as amended by the superintendent.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
Thank you. That concludes my part of tonight's agenda.
Mr. Wilson, do you have
Legislative?
the legislative report, I'm sorry. Mr. Tuttle, do you have a legislative report?
Thank you. I'd like to read a little bit from what I've submitted. On June 23rd, the House Committee on Education and the Workforce held a hearing entitled Next Steps for the K-12 Education, examining recent efforts to implement the Every Student Succeeds Act. Chairman John Klein convened this hearing to further the ongoing committee oversight of the implementation of ESSA and to discuss the importance of implementing ESSA in a manner that adheres to the letter and legislative intent of the law. During his opening comments, Chairman Klein stated, "The Every Student Succeeds Act is based on the principle that state and local leaders can run their K-12 schools better than Washington bureaucrats. The law represents the best opportunity we've had in decades to provide every child in every school an excellent education. We will not allow the administration to destroy that opportunity by substituting its will for the will of Congress and for the will of our state and local education leaders." I wanted to read that to you. It's a reinforcement, once again, that the federal government has backed out to some degree of running our schools and returning that to the school boards across the country. And each state has that opportunity to have input into those changes with, obviously, I would say, the input and interest by the new education czar. His name, Dr. King. I listened to him at the National School Board Association Federal Relations Network, and he's very eloquent, very educated. His life has been one of struggle, and he's really come a long way. And he is, I can tell you, interested in the education of all children. I had an opportunity to speak to him in a short amount of time because he's a very busy man. I was impressed with him, but he still has the line that more federal control is better. So the states now have an opportunity to demonstrate that we can do it better than them. I also submitted a letter, and perhaps, I don't know if other board members received this from the National School Board Association. It was a good morning letter to Thomas Tuttle regarding leading news, and this is interesting in that first paragraph, and it's some news releases or excerpts from like Reuters. Reuters reports Education Department released a report Thursday found the U.S. state and local spending on prisons and jails grew at 3 times the rate of spending on schools over the last 33 years, as the number of Americans behind bars ballooned under a spate of harsh sentencing laws. Education Secretary John King said the report's stark numbers should make state and local governments reevaluate their spending priorities and channel more money toward education. White House Senior Advisor Valerie Jarrett said, 1 in 3 Americans of working age have a criminal record. That creates an often insurmountable barrier to successful reentry. She said, Jarrett also said the U.S. spends about $80 billion a year on incarceration. And so I applaud this information released, and I wanted to speak to that. And hopefully the community participates and watches this and listens to this. It's a major concern. And it's across the country that states, as well as the state of Ohio and the federal government now, is working to reduce the incarceration of minor offenses so they don't have that record. So I applaud this as well. And obviously, more federal money spent on education is always in the right direction. So any comments? It's kind of interesting topic. 3 times of what we spend on education in 33 years. That's the growth rate. So, thank you.
Thank you. Now, Mr. Wilson,
Thank
please.
you. As you know, June 30th is the end of our fiscal year, and there is a high-level summary presented in the monthly financial statements. I'll just highlight a couple things quickly before I ask for approval. You may recall the 15-16 year budget title was Sustaining Our Evolution, and I believe that the initiatives that you've heard about tonight, looking back to the last year and forward to next year, is part of that, and the ability to fund those things all came with our discipline in 5-year forecasting and long-term plans. I'm extremely pleased to report for the first time in 4 years, we did not deficit spend. Our definition of deficit spending being current expenses exceeding current revenues. This is partly the result of the county treasurer's office selling delinquent tax liens last year that generated about $1.5 million of revenue of prior delinquencies and increased current collections by approximately $1 million more for those wanting to avoid the possibility of having their delinquent tax liens sold. We also had favorable variances in salaries and benefits, primarily the result of more than anticipated turnover in our faculty that lowered our baseline spending. So overall, we had a very successful year and one that we will incorporate as our baseline as we go into long-term planning and continue our discussions on future revenue needs. I would also point out we gave a high-level summary of the Cardinal Autism Resource and Education School program. This is the 5th year it's now been in operation. I'm pleased to report, as I have in the past, we've exceeded the expectations of our original 5-year business plan when this program was created. I think this is a tribute to Jackie Hoynes, who recognized the need for the program, and certainly Christy LePallier for her leadership and guidance. We've exceeded both income and primarily by getting to the maximum number of students faster than anticipated, and the quality of the program, which allowed us to incrementally increase our annual tuition rate above what we originally anticipated. We had provided seed money the first year of $1,019,000, which was repaid at the end of 2013-14. We provided 3 years of operating subsidies. For the last 2 years, we've had no need to do that, and in fact, $550,000 of the subsidies have been returned, and this year, 16-17, the remaining advances on the initial operating subsidies will also be returned to us, so it's worked extremely well. We're awaiting actuary reports, and I will provide, hopefully by next month, the results of this year's tactic to self-insure our employee benefits program, the health and dental, as well as our workers' compensation program. The preliminary indications are that we had another very successful year using that tactic and helping to manage our risk exposure to lower our overall spending. So with those comments, I present to you the June 30th, 2016 financial statements and request they be approved and placed on file for audit.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the investment transactions presented in Exhibit 7-B.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
It's recommended the Board of Education approve the 2 interfund transfers listed in Exhibit 7-C.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
And it's recommended the Board of Education approve the supplemental appropriations listed in Exhibit 7-D and also the 2 walk-on supplemental appropriations that you found at your place this evening. One is for the Summer Cares program, and again, due to the quality of the program and the leadership of Christy LePallier, we actually exceeded expected enrollment, so there'll be income to offset it, but it does require some additional spending. And the second is our ongoing efforts to assist in a auxiliary service purchase and removal of a mobile classroom unit, and the state's allocated some additional funding for that. So we ask that those be included in the approval of 7-D.
So moved.
Second.
Please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
It's It's recommended the Board of Education authorize the payment of one invoice listed in Exhibit 7-E.
So moved.
Second.
Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
And that completes my items on the agenda.
Now we have unfinished business. We need to pick a date for a discussion.
Yes, as the board knows, we
Rather-
began discussions on, in the context of our long-term fiscal planning, to determine an optimal levy cycle, given the community support of our new operating levy, the first in 12 years that was approved this spring. And we are looking for some guidance that will influence the development of the discretionary spending for this budget year and certainly be rolled into our 5-year forecast. So that now that we've completed the fiscal year and building on our initial discussions at the first work session, we're hopeful this next one can give us final guidance.
Looking for something in the next month,
If it's possible in July, that'd be great.
July?
July 23rd, maybe?
We looking for a Saturday or an evening?
Whatever's convenient for the board.
What's your schedule, Bill?
July 23rd is a Saturday.
I can't do the 23rd.
That doesn't work. About Wednesday, the 27th?
It's no good for me.
No good.
Got an alternate date. Next week out.
26th?
How's the 26th?
Monday, the 25th is okay as well.
26th, what time?
That'd have to be an evening.
No, that's not good for me.
How about Monday?
Like 6 o'clock?
The 25th is bad. 26th?
26th or 25th at 6 o'clock?
26, is that what we're,
26th?
26 work for you, Tom?
26?
What
Yeah.
time?
After 5:30?
6 o'clock?
6
Sounds
o'clock?
good.
Cookies?
Mhm.
6 o'clock
6 o'clock.
on the 26th.
6 o'clock on the 26th. Everybody, that's
Make
what
it
everyone
so.
understands?
That's good.
Yep.
Okay.
Works for me.
Thank you very much.
Second hearing of the public?
I have a new business item.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Just wanted to bring something to the forefront. About a month ago, the city of Cleveland celebrated the win of the Cavaliers and the championship, which was wonderful for the Northeast Ohio area. I mean, that spread who knows how far. And as a result, there was a parade that I think everyone here is aware of that happened downtown Cleveland about a week, 10 days later, maybe a couple days later, which brought over 1 million people to downtown. As a result, as you can imagine, with all those people going downtown, cars and people going in there, for those that aren't aware, I'm also on the Board of Trustees for Lake Tran, which is our regional transportation here in Lake County. I just wanted to thank Mr. Miller and the administrators here and those that helped coordinate. Lake Tran transported about 10,000 people downtown on that day. It was a first event for them. They learned a lot from it, but it seemed to be a successful event. We got a lot of positive feedback on it. But we parked over 1,000 cars here at the Park and Ride in Mentor and overflowed onto the Mentor school grounds, and we appreciate that. There was a lot of coordination with the school district and the Mentor Police Department. We also had used the Park and Ride in East Lake and parked over 700 cars there, which meant that there were about 1,800 cars that did not travel downtown that day. So it was a great learning experience. Again, I just wanted to pass my thanks on to the school district, and it was just a really great community effort for just a really great day. So I
Mrs.
just wanted to say
Skolsky
thank
was our
you.
point person for that. so-
What's that?
Mrs. Skolsky was our point person for that. so
Thank you for that, Mrs.
appreciate her
Skolsky.
work
I
on
appreciate that, all the hard work. I know it's a team effort for everyone, and I just wanted to bring light to that. That was brought up in my Lake Tran meeting, and we're very appreciative, both sides. It's great when the community works
I got
together
a,
like
I got a
that.
very nice letter from Lake Tran thanking us for that.
Glad to
so
hear that.
From their leadership. So that was
So I
very
wanted
nice.
the board to be aware of that.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you, Mrs.
absolutely.
Briner. Thank you, Mrs. Skolsky, and everybody else. Now, is there any hearing of the public? All right, we're going to move to executive session.
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes.
The purpose is for superintendent's evaluation.
I'm sorry, yes. The Mentor Board of Education is back in session after executive session, and we are here to vote on Mr. Miller's compensation for the 2016-2017 school year. Mr. Miller will receive a 2% increase on his base and a $20,000 performance bonus for the 2015-16 year, this past year. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes. Does anyone have anything else?
I just appreciate the board's support and thank you for the vote of confidence and look forward to the upcoming school year, so thank you. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to
Yes.
adjourn?
So moved.
Second?
Mr. Wilson, please call the roll.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mrs. Briner?
Yes.
Ms. Jisling?
Yes.
Mr. Tuttle?
Yes.
Ms. Miller?
Yes. We're adjourned.
Thank you.